California's Gold is produced in association with KCET Los Angeles and is seen statewide on California Public Television. This series is endorsed by the California Teachers Association, the California School Boards Association, and the California Library Association.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell Hauser, and you know it's amazing how things will happen that will trigger your brain, will lead you from point A to point B to point C, will get you to thinking about things. For example, right now we're in Pasadena, and the reason we're in Pasadena is because the Rose Parade, the world famous Rose Parade, starts right down there on Orange Grove. It comes down Orange Grove, and then when it gets to Colorado, it makes a right, and it goes right down Colorado, right through the middle of downtown Pasadena. And boy, it's beautiful today. The Norton Salmon Museum, the mountains, the clouds, the blue skies. Of course, during the Rose Parade, all of this area is covered in grandstands. This is where the people sit, some of the people sit who watch the Rose Parade. This is where all the television commentators sit for all the networks to kind of talk about what's in the Rose Parade. Well, it was back in 1997, which was a long time ago. Doesn't seem like a long time ago because I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was standing right over here. The Rose Parade was coming by, getting ready to come by, and then all of a sudden, something flew overhead. It was part of the parade, but it was above the parade. And it so captured everybody's imagination, including my imagination, that I ended up doing an entire 1-hour California's Gold episode about it. It was one of your favorite episodes of all time. It's a fascinating subject. It's a fascinating airplane. We're talking about the B-2. Let's go back in time to 1997 as we start our adventure with the B-2, which everybody will agree is a fine example of California's gold. Here we go, way back in time. Enjoy.
But now you can see it.
Begin to see it in the west. It's really a shadow. It's a flat shadow coming at us through the air. Even I am excited by this.
This gives me goosebumps.
It's like a little flat wedge coming in.
Isn't that amazing? And it's going to fly 1,000 feet.
Can't hear a thing, can you, Bob?
No.
Oh my gosh!
Look at that! Look at that!
He's doing maneuvers. Now there's a tower there that really is rather
That's
high.
one of our KTLA cameras right there.
They seem to know exactly what they're doing.
Look at this.
I certainly hope they do because they're ever so close to us.
The excitement in the audience is just incredible.
Oh, they do spot it. Yeah, everybody has spotted it now. All faces are turned in that direction. My gosh, it looks like it's coming right at us.
Look at this. I'm curious about the horses that are down on the Orange Grove. Look at this.
So quiet.
Celebrating the 50th anniversary of the United States Air Force.
Tackle. You know, my legs are weak.
That was
I've never seen anything like that in my life. Woo! Nobody is cynical at this moment.
Isn't
absolutely
that
remarkable.
It was definitely an exciting moment, not only for Stephanie and Bob, but for all of us as well. And whether you saw it in person or watched it on TV, when that huge, strange-looking B-2 stealth bomber flew over the Rose Parade, it got your adrenaline pumping. Some people even broke out in chills. Now I was at the Rose Parade, and the moment that B-2 flew over me, I decided that I wanted to see one of those Star Wars-looking planes up close. I had absolutely no idea how I'd pull something like that off. But I decided right then and there that my New Year's resolution was to find a B-2 bomber. And to start our adventure, to start our journey, to start our quest in search of an honest-to-goodness B-2 stealth bomber, we have come out here to the Chino Airport in San Bernardino County. We are visiting the Planes of Fame Museum. It is a beautiful, sunny California morning, and we are here because if you're going in search of the B-2, you need to start with this plane first. It's very unusual. It's a one-of-a-kind. And here to tell us about it is our welcoming committee. I didn't know we were going to have quite an entourage like this.
Yeah. How do you do?
Good morning.
Hey, Ron
Your
Hackworth.
name?
Ron Hackworth. I'm Bruce Hines.
Morning, Bruce.
Bob Merriman.
Bob.
Brian Provost.
Good morning, sir.
Dick Horst.
Good morning. Thank you all for getting up this early in the morning.
Pleasure.
Tell us about this airplane and why it's important that we be here first before we actually try to see a B-2 stealth bomber.
Well, this is the Genesis. This is the only surviving Northrop flying wing model from the early Northrop wing models. This was a prototype for the B-35. It's the only surviving model that actually flies. The Smithsonian has an N1M, and that's it. That's all there is.
Now, when were these things produced by Northrop?
This airplane flew in 1945.
Flying wing was unlike any aircraft that had yet been developed. It had no fuselage, no long central body such as were to be found on all other aircraft. It had no tail, no orthodox vertical fin or rudder, no horizontal stabilizers or elevators as were found on ordinary airplanes. It was purely and simply a long, slippery-looking wing.
It's a very unusual looking plane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of the characteristics of the B-2 come right off this. You know, back in the early days, they used scale models, you know, rather than building full-size models. And this is a third scale of the original flying wings.
Oh, okay. So this is really just a third the size of the old flying wings. This was kind of like a test model.
Yeah, it's a test model. You can think of it as a big wind tunnel model, and they use the big wind tunnel in the sky. They developed the flight controls, like the split rudders and the elevons, flap systems, power system. They developed that for the big flying wing, and use this as a prototyping model for that.
So there are no actual flying wings, the full-size flying wings left, are there?
No, unfortunately, they chopped them all up at the end of the contract. They said, let's get rid of all these big flying wings, and chopped them up and melted them down.
There were about 20, 25 of them made.
Yeah, it was something in that neighborhood.
And there were about 4 or 5 of these models made.
4 of these N9s.
And this, oh boy, look at this, Louis. Look at this shot looking down here.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
What
a lot of wing area.
The lines on this thing.
Yeah.
Even for somebody who's not into aviation as much as you are, just to look at this, this is amazing.
Yeah. Well, we all think Jack Northrop was absolutely right. You know, the big wing really increases efficiency, and it's the way to go. And I think you're seeing that on new airplanes now. You're seeing a lot bigger wing areas where they get better performance.
And now both of you fellows have flown this actual plane right here. What's it like when you're up in this thing?
Well, it's you kind of a little bit overcome by the nostalgia of it. It's you know, it's very impressive when you think of what you're fortunate enough to actually be in. But aside from that, it's a pleasure to fly. You feel somewhat like a seagull, you know, more of a graceful thing. It's not a real snappy fighter. It doesn't have a big roll rate. Doesn't do a lot of things real fast, but it's very graceful, and you feel that as you're flying.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's just a big wing up in the sky, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got sort of a funny story. The first time I saw the plans on the B-2 after they came and got me, it was a very classified program then. Of course, they took me in a room and showed me the mock-up, and I looked at it, you know, looked at the big wing and then looked farther down. I said, geez, haven't you guys forgot something?
Tail.
The tail, right? but it proved that it's a very good flying airplane, really.
I didn't expect it to be yellow. Is this the color it originally was?
Yeah, they had several paint schemes, but basically it's blue on the bottom and yellow on the top, so they could sort of tell which side is up, you know, when they're looking at it.
Okay, yeah, okay. So the bottom of it is blue, the top of it is yellow, and when you see it coming at you, it really does look like a line in the sky.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the whole idea of visibility and stealth. Is it's sort of a flat plate and very hard for a radar to pick up, or visually to pick up, for that.
Wow.
For that matter. Yeah.
Well, Jack Northrop, the man who was responsible for this thing, and here's, Louis, the name of Northrop right here on the front, really was a visionary, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was way ahead of his time. I think everybody will agree on that.
And without getting into the long story, the idea was these flying wings were developed back in the late 1940s, and then the kibosh was put on them. All of them were cut up and destroyed. And it was apparently the end of his dream to have a flying wing until 30, 40 years later, the B-2 comes back as a much bigger, much more complex, much more designed feature of what this original little prototype was all about.
You bet. That's absolutely true, you know, and I think the B-2 is coming around, you know, where it's really proven its point. I think it's, you know, a wonderful system, and it'll be around for a long time.
So that beautiful big B-2 that we all saw at the Rose Parade started with this back in the 1940s.
That's right.
And this is one of the last, well, there are only two of them. One of them's here at the Chino Airport at the Planes of Fame Museum. The other is in the Air and Space Museum at the Smithsonian in Washington.
And this one flies.
And this one flies.
Right.
You've flown it. You've flown it. You all put it together.
Right.
And Jack Northrop flew in it.
Really?
A number of times.
In this plane?
Yes.
Wow. In the old days. Well, this has been a great first stop on our search. Louis, let's all get around here in front of this wonderful big old plane. This is where we should have come to start our journey, right?
That's correct.
Now, just get us fired up, because we're getting ready to head out in search of a B-2. Is it going to be worth our, is there going to be a payoff at the end of the tunnel here?
I think so, but you know, it's a stealthy airplane, so you'll have a tough time finding it.
Well, that's not going to stop us. Louis and I are hitting the road. We're not going to go today. We're going to start off tomorrow morning early, and we're heading out in search of the relative. I guess the grandson, would you call it?
I think you could call it that.
Grandson.
Of the original flying wing. We're going to start off in the morning, and we're going to find that darn thing. I don't care if it is stealthy.
Well, good luck.
Thank you all very much. Thank you very, very much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
An absolutely beautiful and very historic airplane, the Flying Wing, out here at the Planes of Fame Museum in Chino. Next morning, it's early and it's raining, but we're on the road, heading up the 5 to the 14, on our way to the Northrop facility where they actually make the B-2s. Now, by the time we got there, it had stopped raining, and after we got lost for a while driving around the huge Northrop parking lot, we finally located our designated parking spot and got ready to go inside on what turned out to be a top security adventure. It's not easy to find a B-2. Okay, now we're out of the car, and we've run into our first little barrier here. Caution: cellular phones, cameras, film, video cassettes, recorders, audio and videotapes, radios, computer media, and laptop computers may not be brought into this facility. Good morning.
Hi.
Well, what are we supposed to do? That's a camera.
You're having special authorization today. You'll be guarded at all times by our security manager to make sure that you don't film anything you shouldn't film.
Have you done a security background check on both of us?
the security check has gone in.
And
Yeah.
we passed it?
I think so. They said you could come in.
Okay, so what have we got? Little badges
We have badges
here?
to wear while you're here on site.
Okay, there's one for me and one for Louie.
That's it.
Well, let's go.
Let's go. Come on in.
U.S. Air Force Plant number 42, Site number 4, 1986.
1986.
All right, we're going inside.
Come in.
I got your badge, Louie. Okay, we're getting the once-over. That's just tapes and batteries for the camera.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
I feel like we're going into Fort Knox here.
Maybe tighter.
Okay, you don't need to frisk us or anything?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm going to turn you over to your escorts, Chris and Joe Moore.
Okay, now we've picked up another escort here.
An escort, Chris Etgard, and I'll be taking you back into the room for your briefing.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Joe Moore, I'm the security manager here in Palmdale.
A lot of security here.
Yes, it's the government requirement, and it's a very tight security that we've had for many years here.
Okay, now where are we going? Can we keep the camera on for a minute?
We can keep the camera on, and we're going back to our plant visitor center.
Okay, Plant Visitor Center. Now what does that mean?
Well, we host a lot of visitors and meetings here, and we've got one room specifically set up, and it's...
Wait a minute, there's this sign again. Another warning about not having any cameras here.
That's right. We're making a special exception just for you.
Program badge required. Oh boy, I feel like some kind of an alarm is getting ready to go off.
Well, there is one going off right now.
Really?
Yeah. It's a alarm right here on this door to tell us that the door has been entered.
Okay, here's another sign, Louie, about not being able to bring your camera in here. Now we're in the... Oh boy, here we are.
Good morning, sir.
We're just glad to be here.
I'm Bill Lawler, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning. Scott Seymour, how do you do?
Good morning.
Ed Smith, nice to meet you.
Good
finally.
morning.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we're going to cut the camera off in just a second.
Okay.
I know that's what's first in your mind, right?
No, I'm not worried about that.
Well, but we do have to cut the camera off right now, don't we? We're going to have some kind of a briefing?
You have to have a security briefing so we can make sure that Huell Hauser is okay to come in this place.
And okay to leave.
Sir?
And okay to leave.
Well, you've got some great pictures on the wall of the production of the bomber itself, and we are really looking forward to our morning here.
Great.
Okay, Louie, we got to cut off the camera for our briefing. Okay, time has passed. It is now, well, gosh, it's 9:45. We had quite a briefing in there.
Quite a briefing.
I'm with Bill Lawler, and Bill, your title is?
I'm the general manager of the Northrop Grumman Military Aircraft Systems Division.
And you're going to be kind of our tour guide here.
I'll be your tour guide. We're gonna see where all the B-2 bombers were finally assembled and tested right before they're flown.
And this is an amazing room right here, a big room.
This is 1 million square feet of space that is tailored especially to building and producing, testing, checking out the B-2 bomber. It's rolled out of here and flown away to flight test.
Now, I have seen pictures of this room absolutely stacked from one end to the other with B-2s. When you look out here now, it's empty.
Mm-hmm. We had this building starting over there and going down was absolutely full of B-2s. We built 21 B-2s here, and they're built in an assembly line fashion. And as you finish one station, you roll the bomber forward to the next station, and it goes out the doors at the end of the station when they're all completed.
And what's interesting about it is security has told us that we can shoot all of this. Louis, let's pan over right to the success sign over here, because that's as far over as we can go, because there's still a B-2 sitting right here. I can see it, but we can't film it.
There's a real live B-2 bomber that has been operational at Whiteman Air Force Base. The Spirit of Missouri is sitting at the end of the factory floor here. It's back for some modifications, and that's true. We're looking at that airplane, but because it's in a state of incompletion right now, we've got some things off it that are really security constraints, so we can't film it. So that's one of the paradoxes of the stealth business.
But we can look at pictures of it.
You can look at pictures of the finished product, but you can't look at pictures of it in the process of being assembled, because some of the details that are classified would be visible.
You know, that's, I think, one of the things that has captured the imagination of those of us who like these kinds of things, is the whole secrecy. Just the name of it itself, the B-2 stealth bomber. It's kind of been cloaked in that from the very beginning, hasn't it?
Oh, there's always been a mystique. Even among those of us who work on the program, there is a mystique about working on a we call them black programs. It can be a hardship on you and your family, and sometimes it's an impediment to the way you want to get things done. But there's also an adrenaline about working on a program with that mystique.
What do you mean a hardship on your family?
Well, when we started this program, we couldn't tell them what we were working on. We were going to you go on a trip for a week and you couldn't tell your wife not only where you were going, why you were going, except that it was own company business. Now that implies a level of trust, but it also is, you'd love to be able, you're proud of what you're doing. You can't tell your children, your friends, your wife, that I'm working on one of the great projects in the history of aviation, and I can't tell anybody.
Well, let's take a look, because we have a picture over here. Now, this was all built by the Air Force just for this project out here at Palmdale, right?
Absolutely, and you won't see a sign that says the home of the B-2 bomber on this sign. This was built as a stealthy facility, so everything was indoors. You could run engines, you build the airplane, you moved them between buildings.
Now, this is where we started. This was where we had the briefing.
Right.
This is where we are right now.
That is the main assembly building, and we're upstairs on the balcony in that facility right now.
And this?
This is the paint hangar. This is where we pull the airplane in there and you paint it, do its final paint coat. And this is the engine run dock, and that's a state-of-the-art facility that was built to run engines and do all the checks of the B-2 without anybody knowing you were running engines on a B-2.
So nobody in Palmdale knew any of this was going on.
Well, they knew something big was going on, but they didn't know what.
Wow.
So, and the people in Palmdale, I think, are used to that, because a lot of black programs have been run in Palmdale. So the populace here is used to strange things happening over here, and learn not to ask questions.
Well, let's talk for just a minute about the bomber itself, because it truly is revolutionary in many, many ways. I've listened to the whole briefing this morning.
Right.
Lots of facts and figures. Maybe you can give it to me in language that we can all understand and really, truly appreciate.
Well, you don't have enough film for me to tell you everything I'd love to tell you, but the B-2 truly is revolutionary. The B-2 was evolved from, as you know, the original flying wing designs of Jack Northrop back in the 30s and the 40s.
Actually, I've seen, we have some footage that will be showing of the flying wing, which was, in its day, scoffed at by many people.
Absolutely.
And kind of put on the shelf, and then this initial design came back decades later.
Absolutely, and as a matter of fact, even with all our technology, before we flew this airplane the first time in 1989, there were some very reputable people who said it would not fly, we could not control a tailless airplane this big. Yeah. And boy, have they been proven wrong. But the B-2 is revolutionary in the sense that it was the first time you had combined stealthiness in an airplane of this scale.
Wait a minute, explain stealthiness to us.
Well, stealthiness encompasses low observability to sensors and all kinds of sensors. Our eye is a sensor, our ear is a sensor, a radar is a sensor, An infrared detector is a sensor. When low observable or stealthiness involves making that airplane hard to see to all those sensors. So you want it to be hard to see to the eye, you want it to be hard to hear, and you want it to be hard to see on a radar scope.
Because you described one of these buildings a minute ago as stealthy.
That's right. It was, and stealthy means that you don't notice it.
Yeah.
Literally, that you don't notice it with whatever you're looking at it with. So we wanted to make the buildings so that when people drive by, they didn't get curious, and you don't want the bad guys to be curious when you're flying the B-2 around.
Yeah.
So stealthiness is a design philosophy that causes us to do a lot of things different.
You know, when it flew over at the over the Rose Parade, it's the shape, it's the color, it's all of these things combined, isn't it, that's really captured everybody's imagination.
And it captures the public, but you can't imagine how it captures us who worked on the program. You know, there are probably 40,000 people in the United States that worked on the B-2 at one time or another. And most of them have tears in their eyes when they see it fly.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like doing an Apollo program in secrecy, you know. That's literally what I worked on the Apollo program and the space shuttle, and this was the same magnitude, except nobody knew about it until it was almost done.
Well, aren't you glad now that you can talk about it?
Oh, it's a tremendous relief. It's a you know, it was like opening a valve, and you just couldn't wait to go home and tell your friends, you know.
Okay, the tour continues, and now we have come to the employees' cafeteria, because I wanted to talk with some of the men and women who actually work on the B-2. And what are the restrictions in here?
Well, everybody in here has got to be identified by a badge that's very distinctive in nature, or under the escort of somebody who's badged. And we couldn't allow you just to wander around in here because you don't have the badges, and everybody is first going to look at you and then call for security because you're apparently loose and then out of control.
And I can't just talk with the employees?
Oh, sure you can. And anyone who's willing to talk to you can do that about their job within the security constraints. But as Joe has just indicated, your ability to move unescorted and out of ear range is something that is not allowed.
So you all have to listen to me talk with them?
It's not so much that we want to listen, because we can listen afterwards, but for their own comfort, they need to know that we're allowing you to talk with them and film what's being said.
So you think they might not even want to talk?
Exactly. I mean, security is something that all of these people here are very concerned about.
They've lived with it for years.
They've lived with it for years.
Well, can we test this theory out?
Sure.
Come on, Louis. Now, you all stay back just a little bit. Okay. Fellas, how you doing?
Fine.
I've been told that you might not want to talk.
Talk about what?
The B-2.
Can't say nothing.
You can't say anything?
No.
Not a thing?
No.
Can you say that you work on it?
Yeah, say that much.
Can you say what you do?
I'm a surface prep applicator.
I got you.
Okay.
Boy, you're right. They're kind of closed, tight-lipped. Now, you were smiling. You look like you could talk a little bit more than this guy.
I can't say much about what I do, but I'm here eating lunch.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm an aircraft painter.
So you paint it?
I paint, yeah. You can say that.
You paint the stealth bomber?
No, I'm an aircraft painter.
Boy, they're clamming up on me just like you said they would.
Well, you know.
He says he's an aircraft painter.
That's right.
And I said, oh, you paint the B-2. And he said, no, I paint airplanes.
Okay.
You can't even say the word B-2?
What's that?
I mean, this plane is wonderful. It's a great plane.
Can you remember the first time you saw it, what you thought about it?
Yeah. It was like nothing I ever seen before.
Yeah.
Because I came from the F-18, so it was really unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you weren't really able to talk very much about it to your friends, were you?
No, not at all.
Was that hard to keep quiet?
Not really, because it was nice to keep a secret. You know, like I know something, and you know, it was nice.
Yeah. Have you got any secrets that you can tell us now?
No. I'd have to kill you.
Now, did you have to have a security clearance to work here?
Yes, they had.
In the cafeteria?
Right, because we work for Northrop. We're not an outside contractor, so we go through the same scrutiny that everybody else does. You know, different levels require, you know, different criterias, but, you know, the basis is all the same for all of us, because we have, like you say, access to everyone, and a lot of us have to go to different parts of the plant. So,
have you ever snuck in on the floor where they were making the plane?
Well, I didn't have to sneak in, but I did go through where they were constructing the plane, but I didn't have to sneak. You know, I just had business out there. But as someone that doesn't work on the plane, it certainly was something to see, that's for sure.
So you liked the idea of it being secretive?
Oh, absolutely. Of course. You always hear about you know, the UFOs and that kind of things. You really know that what's really going on is another programs out there being developed, and you know, somebody's working on something.
So wait a minute. What you're saying then is a lot of these people who say they see a
Well,
UFO
I can't speculate on that.
might have been seeing the testing of something that looks as strange as the stealth.
I would think that's a very rational assumption.
Yeah.
Absolutely, particularly in the Antelope Valley, where we are today. With Rockwell, Boeing, well, of course, and Lockheed right across the street, you always hear about strange sounds in the night. Yes.
Well, we have finished our tour, and I'd like to thank you all very much for giving us this kind of an inside tour of
Welcome.
this
Glad to you.
very secretive place out here in Palmdale. We're actually standing in front of what you had described as a stealthy building.
Nondescript, right?
Very nondescript.
But very high-tech and very large.
Yeah, that's where we were, inside that building. And this has been a wonderful first look at the B-2 and its facilities out here, the Northrop facilities in Palmdale, where it is actually put together and rolled off the assembly line. The question is, though, I still haven't touched one. I still haven't seen one.
Well, you're going to go over to Edwards now, and you can negotiate with the Air Force about touching one.
Do you think we're going to?
I would not put my money on you.
Really? You think I'll be able to talk them into it?
You're pretty good at talking. I'm not going to bet on that.
Well, that's where we're going next. We're heading to Edwards Air Force Base in search of a B-2 that we can get really up close and personal with.
And more power to you. I hope you do.
Well, we have now left the Northrop facilities in Palmdale, and we're heading to Edwards Air Force Base. We've just gone through the first guard shack at Edwards, and we're about 4 miles away from the B-2 facilities here at Edwards. They're expecting us. We're a little bit early. It's about 11:15. We're supposed to be there at 12 o'clock. But hopefully this is where we're going to actually see up close a B-2 bomber. Okay, we are here, and we have met up with
Tech Sergeant Dan Tinnen.
And your position here?
NCOIC of Information and Personnel Security.
Security. We've heard that word before.
You're going to hear it quite a bit today.
That's what I figured. Now, we've already gotten our badge here, right?
Right, uncleared visitor badges.
Uncleared visitor badges. What does that mean?
Means you're not cleared to the program.
But we're cleared to go in and look around today.
Only under escort.
So you've got to stay with us the whole time?
The whole time.
Okay, Louis, come on. We're cleared. Well, actually, we're uncleared, but we're with him, right?
You're with him, yes.
Okay, so we can go out here. And here are these more, are you all waiting for us?
No, waiting for you.
Huell Hauser.
Bill Krause, nice to meet you.
And you're with?
CSC, Computer Sciences Corporation.
Well, you haven't said the word security yet.
yeah, photo security.
Oh,
that
photo
would be
security, okay.
Hi, Gary Hatch, Air Force Flight Test Center, Public Affairs.
Public Affairs.
Lieutenant Glenn Genovi, Fort Swab Test Group.
And?
Darren Russell, Photo Security.
Photo security. Now, what does photo security mean?
Well, I guess basically it blocks your shots for you, things you can show, things you can't. We just kind of make sure, steer you in the right direction when you do your interviews.
So when we're doing the interviews out here by the B-2 today, there's certain things we can shoot and certain things we can't shoot.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you're going to tell us off the air what those things are because you can't tell them to us on the air. Is that right?
Correct. Correct.
And why can't you tell them to us on the air?
Those are the rules.
Okay, so we're going to cut the camera off and you're going to tell us what we can't shoot.
Yeah,
Is
pretty
that
much.
Right? And what is this for?
Oh, this indicates to everybody else in the compound that you're unclear to the program. So everybody knows not to discuss classified information.
So you've got to be with us all day long with this?
That's correct.
Beeping like this?
Well, when you're doing your audio, we don't have to have it beeping, but normally, yes.
And it's going to be flashing?
Yes, always.
Wow, I've never felt so welcome any place in my life, fellas. Thanks a lot. Now, how do we get in? Come on. How do we do this?
Your badge?
Yeah.
In the back of your badge, there's a number. Okay, you're going to enter that into, you're going to swipe your badge and enter that number in the keypad.
Okay, can we show that on the air?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, we can't.
Not the number?
Just like this? The other way?
Yeah, face first, swipe. And then enter those numbers and the pound sign.
Okay, we have made it through turnstiles. We've gotten rid of our coats because we're now inside
Bay 3.
This is Bay 3.
Yes.
Now, aren't there supposed to be B-2s inside here?
Only when they're in here for maintenance.
So they're not here?
Not at the moment, no.
Where is one?
We have one over here in Bay 2 North.
So right through this door.
Right through this door.
We're going to get to go inside, and these look like the pilots right here. Hello.
Hi, Mike.
Huell Hauser, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Tony Grady, the commander for the 420 Flight Test Squadron. Mike Good is my operations officer, and we're here to show you something that I understand you've been looking for a while.
We have been looking for it since about 7 o'clock this morning.
Well, you know, you're very persistent. I congratulate you because you have survived where others have failed.
That's right. And it's right behind this door, right?
So, what are we waiting for? Why don't we go see it?
Now, does the guy with the red light have to be with us in here?
Well, just inside the door. Then the colonel there take care of you.
But you're keeping the light on at all times?
Yes.
Okay, so we're being escorted.
You're being escorted so that other people in the area will know that we have visitors.
Okay. We're going in.
Let's go.
Come on.
Go.
Watch your step here, Louis. Oh, there it is. We hit the jackpot. We found one.
Yes. This is the B-2, the stealth bomber, here in the 420th Flight Test Squadron, part of the B-2 Combined Task Force. We are the folks that test the B-2. Our main job is to make sure that the contractor, Northrop, has provided for us what we contracted for. We make sure that the plane meets its requirements, and here it is.
Okay, can we, now I'm scared to death because I'm not sure what we can shoot and what we can't. Is it all right to show it like this?
Sure. Show the whole thing, show the people how big it is, and perhaps maybe if we walk over towards it, they'll have a pretty good perspective on the size of how tall we are and what the airplane looks like. But we're happy to show you our airplane here. You're looking at the engines on the left here. We've got the canopies kind of covered up.
On the top.
Right. That's the intake for the air for the engines there. And we've got the cockpit windshield kind of covered so that we won't do any damage to it while they're doing maintenance here. And you can see down in front of the aircraft the tubes that are coming in. This is kind of a life support system for the aircraft with air and electricity while we work on it on the ground.
Now, is this plane flyable right now, or is it in here for a big overhaul, or what?
This plane is flyable right now. We're doing merely in-between flight maintenance. Do you have anything that you want to add there, Mike?
Yeah, because now your job here is to...
Well, I'm in charge of operations. My basic job is flight safety. We want to make sure we get the job done, but we have to get it done safely, too. So we want to give the guys at Whiteman, the operational crews, the best airplane that we can, but we need to do it not only on time and on schedule and meet our cost estimates, but we also need to do it safely.
Now, the guys at Whiteman, that's where the B-2s are based, right, in Missouri?
That's correct. They are the operational bomb wing, the 509th Bomb Wing there at Whiteman Air Force Base. And that's where they fly the first operational birds are there.
Now, have you ever been up in one of these things?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. I've
I
got
mean,
about...
are you a pilot?
Well, I'm a weapons systems officer. We call ourselves WIZOs. So we're
WIZOs?
WIZOs, that's correct. We're hired here to do the armament testing, dropping the bombs, to evaluate the radar systems and the terrain following radar systems, and that's where my past experience has been.
Can we walk over?
Sure, we can walk over here.
I'm so paranoid about being close to this thing.
This is fine.
As a pilot,
yes,
how exciting is it to fly one of these things?
It was exciting. I waited a long time to fly the B-2, about 8 years from the time I graduated from test pilot school.
What do you mean you waited?
Well, I had to do a number of other jobs when I came out of test pilot school, and they were all very good, but in a way they prepared me for this. The dream of every test pilot is to fly what we call a developmental aircraft, a new aircraft. This is a new aircraft. Though the concept is old, let's just say that our computing capability, along with some other developments in aeronautical engineering, have allowed us to overcome some of the problems associated with a flying wing. And of course, Edwards Air Force Base, where we are right now, is named after Glenn Edwards, who met his demise in a flying wing. And those very things that caused him a fatal accident have been overcome. Yeah. And this has been very exciting. The day that I flew this aircraft, I don't even think I can articulate it, but it was outstanding.
This is the grandson of Jack Northrop's initial XB-35 aircraft that had propellers for engines. They went to a jet engine design then with the YB49. This is 50 years ago. So this is really the grandson of the flying wing design. And as Colonel Grady said, it's the processors, the computing speed and capability that we're able to use now to help us with the flight controls, to help us fly this thing, because manually we couldn't fly it. It's not a stable machine.
Now, what is it, for example, now he's standing over there in front of the plane.
Yes.
What is it that is, well, I guess you can't tell me what it is that's so secret about this plane, can you?
The secret thing about this plane is that it's very hard to see with radar. And you can see the size of it. And unfortunately, you're not here during our normal flying operations, but we fly with an F-16 on the wing all the time. It escorts us. We use it for safety chase. But get in your mind that that small F-16 has a bigger picture to radar than this big airplane. And that's, of course, what is the unique feature of the B-2, besides the fact that it doesn't have any vertical stabilizers that normal conventional aircraft have, but it flies very well, and it's very small on radar.
You know, of course, how excited people get when they see this thing in the air, don't you? I mean, you've heard about what happened at the Rose Parade this year.
We heard about what happened. Our brethren at Whiteman Air Force Base demonstrated the aircraft to the public, and that was very good.
I had a good opportunity, not this past year, but the year before. I got to fly this at the Edwards Air Force Base Air Show, and it was quite a treat, because even from the cockpit, I was on the right side of the airplane, of course, and we made a pass, kind of a knife pass along the crowd, and I was able to look out, and there was literally hundreds of thousands of people all pushed up to the rope, watching this airplane come by. So
what do you think it is? Is it because it looks like it's something from Star Wars? I mean, is it the shape? Is it the color? Is it the... What do you think?
It's all of the above. It's a very impressive aircraft, and you're correct. It looks very unique. When you look at the airplane, when it approaches you, it looks like a line in the sky, and then when it gets closer, it just gets bigger, and then when it goes away, it disappears into a line, and it's almost as if the aircraft is mutating before your eyes. And of course, it's not. But you're right. It has a unique shape, and it's very pretty as it flies.
And where do you all rank in the hierarchy of pilots now that you all have you know, are connected with something like the B-2.
What do you mean by hierarchy of pilots?
Well, I mean, are you the envy of every pilot out there to be able to fly something like this?
I don't think so. I think that in the Air Force, everybody has a job to do.
Well,
and
let's don't be that political about it. I mean,
it's not a matter
this
of
has got to be the most exciting job in the Air Force.
It's not a matter of being political. It's a matter of being a test pilot. It's a privilege to fly a new airplane. We have a specific job to do, but remember that our end goal is creating a combat machine for the guys at Whiteman to have. The B-2's mission is to be able to put bombs anywhere on the face of the earth at any time. When the president picks up the telephone and says go, we need to make sure that the airplane's ready to go. So yes, we enjoy flying it, don't get me wrong, but our whole objective is to make the aircraft fully combat ready and ready to go.
Well, of course, it's a very serious mission. I didn't mean to imply it wasn't, but that doesn't mean it can't give you a little rush of adrenaline when you take off in this
certainly
thing.
It does. Certainly it does. Every time we fly, it's a privilege to fly.
Okay, can I touch this plane?
Certainly, you could touch the plane.
Well, don't say certainly like that was a stupid question. Believe me, I've had enough no's said to me today. Can we walk over here?
Well, why don't we head towards the hatch, because I understand we'll be going up into the cockpit, and you know, you have a hatch here with the ladder, and you can touch the airplane. See?
So what is this made of?
Composite material.
Composite material. What does that mean?
Well, it's not like a conventional aircraft with say aluminum that's put together. Composite material is chemical material, and sometimes it involves fiberglass, carbon, other things that go together. But this material is specially made up and put together to form the aircraft.
Is that security too, what it's made of?
Sure, certainly it is.
Okay. I keep feeling like I need to nose around down in here a little bit more. We're going to go up?
We're going to go up into the cockpit. Yes, we are.
Okay, I'll let you all go up first.
Okay.
And
okay, well, we'll head on up in there, and the crew chief's going to turn on the lights so we can see our way.
Okay, boy, this is exciting. Now, this doesn't happen very often, does it, to be able to get to go up into the...
Not often at all. You're probably about the first one.
Really?
Really.
How did we get clearance to do that?
You're lucky.
Okay, we're going up. Okay. Boy, there's not much room in here.
Yeah, we have a lot of precious space in the aircraft, and so we load it with the equipment to do the mission. There's not a lot of room for creature comfort.
So the plane just has 2 pilots, is that it?
That's right. It was originally designed with the thought of possibly a third pilot to sit behind where you're sitting, but right now it's just a 2-pilot mission, and that's the way they'll do it out at Whiteman.
And how long can you stay in this plane at a time on a mission?
We can stay in the airplane for a long time. Right now, our regulations allow us to fly for 24 hours. Of course, the aircraft would require refueling, but this is a bomber. It's an intercontinental bomber. We can stay airborne as long as we can get gas.
Yeah. Now, at Northrop, they showed us a picture of the cockpit all lit up.
Yes.
But we couldn't have the power on today, could we, in order to be in here? For security reasons.
For security reasons. This, as you asked before, this airplane is ready to go fly. They're merely doing in-between flight maintenance, so we have an actual mission on this and certain things that, though we might like to show the public for national security, it wouldn't be prudent.
Now, you've got the windshield here is covered right now.
And as we talked to you before, during the periodic maintenance, in order to protect the windshield, they've just got it covered up.
So give us all a feeling of what it's like to be sitting where you all are sitting right now and gliding out over the country. Well, not gliding, you're going moving out over the countryside.
We hope we're not gliding.
in a plane like this. What is the sense that it gives you?
The thing about this airplane is, yeah, we're sitting up here in this cockpit, but once you walk up the ladder, you kind of forget about what kind of airplane you have behind you. It's conventional stick and throttles on each side, and this airplane flies like any other airplane. It flies very nicely. It's very fluid.
It doesn't feel differently when you're flying this thing?
Well, actually, just to expand on what Mike has said, it's true. You know, airplanes fly, but As a big airplane, we don't have heavy stick forces or whatever. This is a very responsive aircraft. Northrop did an excellent job with the flight control system, and it's just very responsive. It's almost like when you're flying, you just think the airplane where you want it to go, and it goes there. It behaves very well. As Mike said, most big airplanes of the other vintages would usually have a yoke in here, but we're a fly-by-wire aircraft, and we have a conventional stick, and it handles very well. The reason that it does that is because the mission can be very long and complicated. So you want the flying portion of the aircraft to be fairly easy, so as not to be a added fatigue to the pilots as they are executing the mission. The B-2 requires a whole lot more of the mental process. You have to stay on top of the systems, stay on top of where you are in the mission, monitor how you're proceeding along your programmed route and those sort of things. So there's a lot more mental activity that goes on to it. It's a dream to fly. When you're up flying, the hard part about it, as you can see, we don't have a lot of visibility. It's kind of difficult to see outside. And so we don't get the sense of all that's around us just because of the sheer size of the aircraft and the small windows that we have. But it is neat to look out the window, and when you're flying, you have to do that. You just have to do that.
When we get going down low and fast, you really feel like you're hauling the mail. It's you definitely get a feeling of the ground rushing past you.
Now we're outside the plane, and I've hooked up with
Master Sergeant Rick Kinsey.
And your position here?
I'm the production superintendent for B-2 compound.
What does that mean?
I'm actually in charge of all the airplanes here on the compound. As far as any maintenance to be done on them, I direct the maintenance.
Can we walk down in here? Sure. Come on, Louis, watch your step. What are these guys doing right now?
They're preparing for pre-flight right now. This airplane is going to fly tonight on a mission, so they're just checking the airplane, make sure it's safe for flight.
And how many men does it take to keep this plane functioning?
Right now we have 36 personnel assigned to this airplane. Each B-2 out here has approximately 36 personnel.
And how much specialized training do they have to be able to work on something like this?
Basically, because we're also working with Northrop, we require Northrop training and Air Force training. So there's actually quite a bit of training required to ensure safety of flight.
So this is serious stuff here.
Oh, yes, it is. Very high tech.
Okay, so they're working on...
They're setting up for a pre-flight for this airplane using a computer. So.
And I understand that before we could shoot, where's the security guy?
He's right over there.
Before we could even shoot today, you had to cover up some things on the plane, right?
Certain items on the plane, yes.
So even though we're actually able to stand right here next to the plane, what the viewers don't realize is that there's some things that they can't see because you've covered them up because they're still top secret.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's certain things that can't be seen on the aircraft.
Right, okay.
Right.
So there's still things about the plane that are mysterious, that can't be shown on television.
That are classified, yes.
So we could get here, but we can't see everything.
Exactly.
Do you think that's ever going to change?
Maybe someday it will.
But not while we're here.
Not while we're here.
Now we're getting over to the serious stuff here.
Howdy.
Your name?
Sergeant Brown. John Brown.
Nice to meet you, sir. And these are the big bombs.
Mark 84 2,000-pound bombs.
Because I think sometimes we forget the fact that this plane, we get so wrapped up in what the B-2 is all about, we forget that one of the main things it's all about is delivering
weapons.
Payloads, weapons against the enemy. What can they do? What can it do?
Well, the B-2 will hold both these RLAs. Can hold up to 8 on each RLA, and it also holds BRLAs, which aren't on the trailers right now.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
That's a bomb rack assembly, and that'll hold up to 80 500-pound bombs.
Really?
And these are 2,000-pound bombs.
These are 2,000-pound bombs?
Yes, they are.
Boy, now that can do some serious damage.
Sure can, yeah.
Now, what is it like for you to work with a plane that can carry this configuration of ordnance?
Well, it's a fascinating job. Maybe one of the fascinating things about it is the way we do load these. It's all done remote controlly, and we did almost like an RCU race car. We plug it into the wall. We use this here, engage it. These things will spin all the way around. They'll go sideways. We get them up underneath there. We lift them up and load them in that way.
So it's all done from this?
Remote control to load the plane, yes.
You can't have anything moving now. Oh, no, wait a minute.
No,
These
no,
things
no.
aren't.
They're not plugged in. They're not running.
These things aren't live.
No, these are inert.
Okay.
They're full of concrete.
Okay, that's.
That's clicking that there.
Well, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
So what do you have them here for? Just for people like us when we come through and ask questions?
No,
or?
we're going to be loading these here next week.
You load concrete ordnance?
We actually drop these off the plane to make sure that everything works. And we drop several munitions, different types of munitions, to make sure that it does functionally work.
Just dummies.
Right.
So
We have dropped live because you have to make sure that the live ones actually work too.
So it's okay for me to go over here now and...
You can hit on them all you want. They're not going to do anything.
Boy, I'm feeling secure on the outside, but inside I'm dying right now.
No, those are full of concrete. They're not going to do anything. I wouldn't let you hit on a live one.
Well, this has certainly been a lot of fun for us. We finally got to see one of these things, and I got to tell you, from the reaction of the crowd at the Rose Parade and from the interest level that all of us have in this plane, I think the Air Force I think this plane should be more visible to the public because it really is an exciting aircraft to see.
Well, I think the Air Force has been as visible with the aircraft as was needed. Sometimes when it takes longer to see something, you appreciate it more.
Boy, are you going to run for office when you get out of the Air Force? You did that very well.
No. All in the day's work. We're just happy. We're happy that you were able to come. We're proud of our aircraft. We're proud of what Northrop has done and the whole B-2 team. Got to remember something. The United States was first in the aviation industry, and this is a testament that we're still first in the aviation industry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure having you out to show off our airplane here, and as we said earlier, it's a real pleasure to fly this airplane.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, and you can come back.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser, and for those of you who want to share our California adventures with family and friends who live out of state, well, you can send them to our website at www.calgold.com, where they'll find a link to iTunes and an ever-increasing number of episodes they can watch for free. We're taking California's gold worldwide on the web.